Hello. Let's talk about Artemis. I actually really like Artemis for the purposes of this class because I feel like she symbolizes Greek mythology so well. She kind of personifies a lot of their ideals. Okay, so Artemis is her Greek name, Diana is her Roman name, and then Hecate or Hecate, some people pronounce it that way, Selene and Cynthia. Those are like her alternate personalities, which I will get to in a second. So on the one side, she is a traditional kind of nature goddess. So she's goddess of the hunt, she's goddess of wild things, but she's also the goddess of the moon. That part sort of screws her up. So I'm going to talk to you about that in a second. But as her normal baseline self, she is symbolized by the silver arrow because she's a great archer, because she leads the hunt, deers, cypress trees, things that are in nature. So she's the huntsman in chief of Mount Olympus, so she protects the animals there. And she's kind of like early conservationist. Okay. In that role, she is also one of the three virgin goddesses, which means she never gets married and she never has any kids. But she almost does. Okay. And if you were really freaking out and you were taking your notes because I didn't actually tell you what the bad thing that Apollo does is, that's what's going to happen now. Okay. So as the huntsman in chief of Mount Olympus, she meets a man by the name of Orion, and he's not just a mini man. I meant to say any man, but he wasn't a mini man because he was a giant. Okay, and he was a hunter. Now you might know the name Orion because of Orion's belt, okay, the constellation, which is actually part of a much bigger constellation called Orion the Huntsman. Okay, and there's a reason that constellation exists, and it's this story right here. Because when they meet, they fell madly in love because he was a hunter and she was a hunter and they were meant to hunt together. And so they get engaged. Okay, so this is her fiancé. The issue was that Apollo wasn't really happy about this because remember they're twins. He never gets married. She never gets married. And so they have like this really close relationship. Not like a kinky close relationship, even though this is mythology. That's not what's going on. They're just like super close friends. And if you have a sibling who ever has gotten married, you know what's going through his head here because once she gets married, things change. Okay. It's not that they don't love you anymore, but they have other priorities and other people in their life now that they have to take care of and have to be around. Okay. So they're not going to be part of your life in the same way that they used to be. And he knows this. So he goes to her and says, listen, we've got this awesome thing going. If you get married to Orion, you're going to ruin this. He's just some giant. Okay. Let him go and just stay, my friend. And Artemis says, but he hunts and I hunt and we must hunt together. So Apollo realizes this is going nowhere. So he decides he's going to have to take things into his own hands a little bit more deceptively. Okay. Now remember, Apollo was the god of archery. She is the goddess of the hunt. They're both known for being incredible archers. And so they have like kind of this like banter that goes between them about who is the better shot with the bow. And so one day before the marriage, Apollo invites Artemis down to the coast, okay, down by the sea. And he says, listen, since you're never going to talk to me ever again once you get married, he's kind of like whining, I guess. Let's go ahead and settle this once and for all. We need to determine which one of us is the best. So here's what we're going to do. There's that thing like kind of floating out in the ocean out there. I bet that you can't hit it. If you can, I will admit that you are the better archer because I know that's out of my range. Okay. But if you can't, then you have to concede that I might possibly be better than you and we'll have to do a little competition. So she's like, okay, whatever. This is so stupid, but I'll do it because you're dumb and I love you. I'm going to prove to you that I'm a better archer. So she does. Okay. And so she pulls back, releases, and nails it. Okay. It just sinks straight into the water. Now, what Apollo knew that Artemis did not is that little thing bobbing out in the ocean was actually her fiance Orion taking himself a little swim, and she just shot him directly in the head. Not a great moment from Apollo because the reason he did this is that he wanted to keep their relationship intact. But when you convince your sister to shoot her own fiance in the head, it doesn't really work out real well with your friendship from that point on. So basically, you have nothing to do with each other from that point on in these stories, okay? Now, the gods, though, feel really terrible about Orion, and you're going to see this happens very often. When they feel really happy about something or really sad about something, they decide the best thing to do is to commemorate that in a constellation. So he actually gets turned into a constellation after this. So things go, I guess, good for him now. He's just chilling in the sky. But she never gets married, never has any kids, retains that virgin goddess status. Now, I'm going to tell you something about her in this next video, though, that I think makes her super interesting for the purpose of this class. But for right now, I'll leave you with this sad Orion thing in your mind. Here's what he looks like, by the way, as a constellation. If you would have been wearing that helmet.